So, hi, Amanda, and hi, Chess. So, thank you so much for making the time. So, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I could watch, Girl State and Boy State. And first, we just have 10 minutes. And I just want to go first and, the idea, the whole project, and then go a little bit deeper into the storyline and, yeah,
Yeah,
about your thoughts and really that it's serving you. So, is that okay for you?
sure. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
start. I think just underlying the project, both films, is a question of what is our political future as a country? Are we going to tear ourselves apart? Is democracy going to die, or can we survive and learn to work with each other across our political differences? I think it's a real question that we're confronting, and I think that the power of these films, of these stories, is that it confronts this question through the eyes of young people, 17-year-olds who are participating in this democratic experiment, these programs where they get together and sort of try to talk to each other across their differences and build a government and run for office. And I think it's a prism into what it's like in the case of Girl State to be a teenage girl in America today and the political issues that they're confronting and the obstacles that they confront to political power, but also their optimism, resilience, intelligence, and that I think it's also an inspiring story about a potential future for us.
Hmm. So, what do you mean with prison?
Oh,
Prism.
oh,
So,
yeah,
like how do you
oh,
explain?
like if you hold up like a piece of glass that refracts the light into its
Yeah.
rainbow color. So sort of like a sort of a almost like a not a magnifying glass. It's the reverse of that, but it's sort of a crystal ball in a way. I would say is another metaphor. It's or a weather vane. It's like shows the way the wind is blowing in our country, and I think it's true in Europe. It's true in the United States. I mean, there's such existential threats that we face within, our borders and outside our borders in the world at large, and climate change and gun violence and political division and xenophobia and all of these forces that threaten to tear our societies apart. I think that it's incumbent on us as storytellers to find a way to bring audiences to a conversation about these questions, but in ways that don't fill them with more fear and more anxiety and more dread. But then I think, young people are hopeful. I mean, despite the challenges they face and the planet that they're inheriting, they are still hopeful. They're not jaded and cynical. And I think that these films are they're funny, they're surprising, but they deal with very real issues.
So for me, I live in Germany and in a European country, and for me, it's something totally new. This camps, and so that's why I understood prison. So I was not sure
Oh
are
yeah.
they willing to be there, or the parents put them there. So okay,
That's
the prison,
yeah,
you have to
an interesting
clarify that.
notion.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
that's why. So for me, as a woman, obvious, it is a little bit, yeah, it was sometimes a little bit difficult to watch. That's why about this prison thing, where are the parents? For us, it's kind of okay, they want to do this. I mean, how old were the girls? You said around 17.
They have finished up their second to last year of high school, so juniors. So they're
Mhm.
17. Generally, they're 17. Some are 16. Um, it's right before they go and have they apply to college. So it's a really interesting time where they're old enough to be forming their own politics and maybe not having the same politics as their parents. But they're still not quite old enough to vote. They're about to be old enough to vote in the real world. And a lot of the kids who they're a self-designated group who choose to go to this camp. You have to apply and you have to want to be going to government camp. So that's a certain somebody. It's not everybody. And a lot of them have debate champion backgrounds. A lot of them have been in their school government. A lot of them want to have
Yeah.
careers in government. A lot of them are political activists outside of school. So a lot of them are activated already and are pretty ambitious and very smart. So it's a self-selected group, I would say. It's not everybody who wants to go to this camp.
I mean, it's an interesting question too. I mean, you raise this, like, I guess, most of us learn about how democracy works and our governments work by going to school and in a classroom, and we read a textbook, and maybe we have a discussion with our teacher and some fellow students. We write a paper. That's all great. But like, I think the value of this program is it's hands-on, it's participatory, it's learn by doing. And as a model of education, it's not perfect. Like, and you see problems in the program. It's kind of old, it's sort of traditional in some ways, and yet they do just sort of let the kids do it themselves, and for better and for worse, to make mistakes. And I think that's really a powerful way, as we ask ourselves, like, how do you learn how democracy works? How do you learn about what your voice can mean in this process? And I think it gives young people, hundreds of them, and thousands across the country, an opportunity to do that. I don't think it's the answer to all of our problems, but I think it's a reminder that there are very few spaces for young people and for anybody to get together with people whose politics are different, especially now we're all on our phones and we're all sort of in the silos that reinforce our political views. There's a value to being in a space that is not mediated by a technology. It's face to face.
It very much forces you to confront the fact that the country is our country anyways, half full of people whose politics is kind of the opposite of yours. And you have to engage in a conversation with that person face to face. And what's so interesting about 17-year-olds in particular is they don't totally identify with one or the other party. Like, so many of the kids that we talk to really are like a whole collage of interests and decisions that they've made about what's right and wrong. So like, they identify often as independents, which I think is really interesting because you can't really vote that way in a general election yet. So to me, the value of having these kids negotiate with each other is super interesting and valuable in terms of a society. If we want it to be a pluralism society, then you have to like engage with somebody who is different from you by necessity. That's like the definition of being an American. And like, in being in your little siloed space, sure, like it's pretty easy to agree with yourself or everybody around you agreeing with you. It's much harder to like define who you are when it's in opposition to someone else. And I love that about these programs. It never stops being interesting to me.
So what would you say, we're just running out of time. So why was this movie or both movies needed? For me, it's still, when I grew up, sometimes I felt a little bit pity for these girls. It's good when they are very engaged and committed, but it was very interesting. One girl, she said, there is a need to do something important, and where is actually their childhood? So how would you combine this?
I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but where is their childhood meaning?
So they're very engaged, very committed in all this, activism, and they're really also in the mindset, and they're still very young. So could there be potential, that they're just, so they also have some, free time, or where there's, child something,
Oh no, I listen, we followed them during this very intense week. These kids also have pretty full lives of being kids too. Like, they have a lot of fun. We've just been touring with them and the film. I do think they're probably, I'm kind of maybe asking my own question from your question, which is it the responsibility of girls to fix all the problems that, like, do they get to have less fun because the system is so not built for them, and they have to spend so much more time helping to rebuild a system that has kept them down? That is a good question, and I think another layer of unfairness to what girls have to go through. And that's part of what we witnessed during this week, right? The Boys State did not have to question the program during their program.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. Sorry, running out of time. So I had a lot of more questions. Thank you so much for the inspiration. So